Our next speaker, Dr. Maya Rockeymoore, is a scholar, an author, and an entrepreneur for social change and justice. She is the founder and CEO of Global Policy Solutions, a social change strategy firm based in Washington, D.C. She is best known for her advocacy and analysis of healthcare issues, income security, education, and civic engagement, and especially for her analysis of these issues on outlets like CNN, Fox News, ABC News, National Public Radio, C-SPAN, Black Entertainment TV, and Al Jazeera. Dr. Rockeymore's latest book is called The Political Action Handbook, a how-to guide for the hip-hop generation, which Michael Moore, yes, that Michael Moore, called a hard-hitting, step-by-step analysis of what it takes to become politically active. At Global Policy Solutions, Dr. Rockeymoore provides analysis, research, strategic leadership, and coalition building for nonprofit organizations like the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the Alliance for Excellent Education, and the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. She serves on the board of the Leadership for Healthy Communities and of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. A wonderful allied organization. And just so she doesn't get too bored with her life, she is also a member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Please welcome Maya Rockeymoore.
When I was in graduate school, I actually taught in the Women's Studies department in addition to being a political science student. So I taught gender and multiculturalism, I taught women in politics, and through that process I became, an activist, if you would. And there were a group of us who were really engaged in really standing up. We organized Take Back the Night marches. We got various people to come on campus, Bell Hooks, other people to come on campus to talk to us about women's issues. We even organized our own protest movement, okay? So, one day we heard that the woman had been assaulted in a frat house off campus. And so we were sitting together in the room and we were talking about the injustice of it all and how women's assault issues are always papered over, especially by universities that don't want to acknowledge violence against women on campuses, etc. Violence in general, but especially against women. And so we decided to take matters into our own hands. We actually coordinated a commando operation. We decided to meet at, we developed our plan, we got our cardboard boxes, we cut out, our little stencil letters, and we met at 2 a.m. in the morning. And somebody was posted on one corner, another person was posted on the other corner to watch out for the cops. And we got our stencils and we went up to we snuck up to the frat house. And we stenciled on the wall of their garage, a rapist lives here. Washington now for 13 years, and in the past 3 years or so, I have been having fantasies about doing a commando operation on the Capitol. And you know how those buses, the shrink wrap buses that have the signs around them, I have a fantasy of going to the Capitol and shrink wrapping it and putting a sign across it that says, "Misogynists work here." Paul Ryan. Anybody from Wisconsin here? Is anybody from Wisconsin here? All right, this thing is pretty cool. But he actually recently introduced, actually the House and the Senate considered a bill that was focused on the Ryan Plan. And the Ryan Plan said that, listen, as a nation, we're facing a budget crisis. And guess what? We can't afford, instead of saying, Let's raise taxes on the wealthy who can't afford to pay their fair share of what's going on in this country. Since they took us over a cliff, why don't they pay their fair share in terms of making us, alleviating the budgetary problems that we're facing? Instead of doing that, he said, let us redo, in fact, let us eliminate Medicare as we know it. Let us create a block grant program for Medicaid, and let us, for all future older people, let's give them a voucher worth about $13,000 where they can go and try to find medical care. Now, I don't know about you, but once you're 65 or older, you likely have type 2 diabetes, you might have, heart disease, you might have any number of factors. I don't know a provider in this country who's going to provide you with all the Medicare you need, all the medical care you need for $13,000. But what they're doing is basically trying to deconstruct and actually destroy the social safety net, the social insurance structure system as we know it. And that is unacceptable. Why is it unacceptable? They also have their sights out on Social Security. There have been a couple of bills that have been introduced recently by prominent Republicans in the House to go back to the old Bush proposal of partially privatizing the Social Security program. Okay. Now, when women hear Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, women in general are not hearing these are gender issues. But what do we know? These are gender issues, okay? Why is that the case? When you're looking at the older age population, guess who lives longer, ladies? We do! So that means that we're represented disproportionately among those who are dependent on Medicare programs. When it comes to women and their children who are low income, guess who's disproportionately represented among that population, ladies? Women who are the caretakers and the primary caretakers for their children. So Medicaid, any threats to Medicaid is a women's issue. When it comes to Social Security, it is a women's issue, and this is why. Social Security is an old age program, it's a disability program, and it's a survivor program. Now, I already told you that women are disproportionately among those who are older age because we live longer. So the retirement benefits under Social Security are incredibly, incredibly important to us. Disability benefits are important to us as well. But survivor benefits, because we are often left with children when another breadwinner dies, leaving us with children to take care of, Social Security steps in to provide a life insurance benefit to our dependent children. And our households actually benefit disproportionately from that. In fact, when you look at Social Security across the board, women and their children are a majority of those receiving Social Security benefits. So when you hear that they want to privatize or cut Social Security in any way, know that it is a direct threat to who? Women. Okay. So why isn't it ironic that women were not responsible, certainly, for taking our economy over the cliff? In fact, I don't think there were any women who were the masters of the universe, who are the heads of these international companies that kind of, did what they did to the housing market and also did what they did in terms of all these derivatives and everything else. Yet when it comes to who's having to pay for it, is it not unacceptable that the first thing they're going after are the programs that are important to women and their families? I think it is unacceptable. And so, we also have another situation going on. Not only is it the assault on our social insurance programs that are so important to our families, it's also the cuts that they're talking about to our feeding programs. It's the assault on unions, many of them professions that are disproportionately represented by women, like teachers. It's certainly also, I want to expand our notion of the public good by looking at even asking you to pay attention to what's happening in public education. And certainly the squeeze is being placed on our families in terms of rising food and gas prices. Now, it's also ironic that we know that wages have been stagnating for the middle class and the rest of America for quite some time. That the rich have been getting richer, and that the wages for the rest of us have been stagnating, okay? It's ironic that that stagnation has happened as women have become a larger portion of the workforce. And of course, if you're a conspiracy theorist, what was the quote? You know, it probably is.
It is. What is it? Yeah, they are. I think
they are out to get you. If there is a conspiracy in this, I certainly think that that's certainly not coincidental. You know, we know about the feminization of poverty, but we are also seeing the feminization of the U.S. economy. So what do you do when all of the economic forces are aligned against your success and well-being? When the people in power currently are seeking to destroy the things that have made this country so great for the past century, what do we do as a country? Now, the title of this session is Beyond the War on Women, a Feminist Vision for a Just Society. And I would like to posit several things. One is something that you already absolutely know, and that is that we have to have and we have to strengthen our agenda. And it is an economic and it is a social justice agenda. So, what are the tenets of that agenda? One of them is, when they're talking about tax cuts, we have to say no. It is a zero-sum game. Tax policy should be a part of a feminist agenda. When they're talking about taxes, giving tax breaks for the wealthy, know that it is a zero-sum game, because as soon as you allow that break, then they're going to turn around and say, we need to take it from somewhere else, and that's where the threat to the programs that women disproportionately rely on come from. So we actually have to have an expanded notion of economic justice that requires wealthy corporations and wealthy individuals to pay their fair share. And we're aspirational. If you're poor, if you're middle class, you want to be wealthy one day. And so we don't really have the gut as an American society to really go after the wealthy. We don't believe in class warfare. I want to tell you this. If you're losing your home, if you can't pay your bills, if you have no food on your table, if you have, no clothes to wear, then you certainly then believe that there is, and if you know that the policies are in place to go after everything that would support you, but then protect those who have everything in this world, then something is wrong, and that we have to step up and do something about it. Put pressure on corporations. We need to operate not only as voters but also as shareholders, putting pressure on corporations to go after excessive executive compensation. We need to have enlightened leadership. Now, of course, I know that feminist theory and literature, that women bring a different type of leadership. I will beg to differ. It depends. I have worked for women who have been wonderful leaders, and I have worked for women who act like men. And so when we talk about enlightened leadership, we have to make, first of all, we're talking about both men and women, okay? That they have to be enlightened and to understand the importance of gender dynamics. But we also can't give a pass to making sure that women in our leadership they keep and maintain an expanded notion of the public good, and that we operationalize that in how we interact with each other and certainly how we lead our organizations. And the last thing I want to say, because my time is up and I have a whole lot more to say, but that we have to, so in economic and social justice, enlightened leadership, and a proactive and consistent political engagement. Okay? And so that means that it's never time to sit down. Just as soon as you win one battle, the next battle begins. You either have to strengthen and protect what you've already won, or you have to expand the agenda to go after other pieces of the agenda that have not yet risen to the top of the public profile. And so with that, warriors like ourselves can never rest. We have to keep going. And that also means that we have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. And so, with no disrespect to the President of the United States of America, I did vote for him, I supported him, I will support him in the next election, given the lack of other options. But we absolutely have to maintain and hold their feet to the fire to do the right thing. Because President Obama has just stepped into this debate around the debt ceiling, okay? The Republicans want to take the country over a cliff yet again. And they want to do it by basically destroying the full faith and credit of the U.S. Currency, the dollar, by basically making us default, okay? The President has stepped up to the table and he is now going directly into negotiations. Now we know that the President likes to be liked. And we also know that he's very sensitive to criticism for the other side, and this often leads to him actually getting rolled in any negotiations he shows up to the table for. And so I would argue that we're at a zero moment here. Social Security is under threat, Medicare is under threat, Medicaid is under threat, all the union bargaining is under threat. You name it, we're at a zero moment. We either rise or fall, okay? And that means we need our leaders to be strong. But guess what? It's going to take you to make these leaders stay strong. And that means holding Democrats' feet to the fire, and that also means being in the face of Republicans. Thank you.